we are going to discussing about the summary of the chapter A Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Mandela. In this chapter, before starting the chapter, we have to discuss about speech, and I will tell you a small profile about Nelson Mandela and the summary of this chapter. Shall we start? From our 5th standard onwards, we are writing speech, right? So I'm not going to that point, but I will tell you some important points that we want to keep in our mind. These points will help you to prepare a good speech. Okay, shall we move to the point? Just listen, okay? Important points to remember. The first one is focus on your audience need. That means we want to concentrate on the audience need. That means we want to concentrate on our topic only. The second point, keep it simple. Concentrate on your core message. Don't go for the loose talk while you are delivering a speech. And the language must be simple and legible. Then only the audience can easily understand. Clear? The third point, smile and make your eye contact with your audience. This is a very important point. Always put a sweet smile on your face, and you want to keep eye to eye contact with the audience. Then only we can take audience in our hand and make our speech impressive. Okay. The fourth point, start strongly. Start strongly means make your content very clear and prepare it with all confidence. By listening all these points, these are the important points. By keeping all these points, you can make your speech very impressive, and you can take the audience in your hand. Okay, now let's listen to the profile of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, he was born on 18 July 1918 and was one of the South African politician and activist. On April 27, 1994, he was made the first president of South Africa, elected in a fully represented democratic election. Mandela was also the first black president of his country, South Africa. Mandela was born in South Africa to a Tembu royal family. His government focused on the throwing out of the legacy of apartheid by ending racism, poverty, inequality, and on improving racial understanding in South Africa. Politically a believer in socialism, he served as a president of the African National Congress from 1991 to 1997 and adopted new constitution for South Africa in 1996 that prohibits all discrimination based on language, religion, handicap, and sexual orientation, not only on racism. Internationally, Mandela was the Secretary General of the Non-Aligned Movement from 1998 to 1999. Nelson Mandela, who received more than 250 honors, including the 1993 Nobel Peace Prize, the US Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the Soviet Order of Lenin. He is often referred by his Xhosa clan name Madiba, or as Tata, that means father. Mandela was described as a hero, and his action gave thousands of people hope. Mandela was sick for several years during his retirement. He was hospitalized in late summer of 2013 from a continuous lung infection. Mandela died on 5th December 2013, and this Nelson Mandela was commonly known as African Gandhi. Moving to the chapter Long Walk to Freedom. Long Walk to Freedom is an autobiography of Nelson Mandela, who was a former South African president. The chapter is an extract from the Long Walk to Freedom book. It includes the description of the inauguration ceremony and the citation from his speech and about his journey to being a freedom fighter. It says about the other countless people who fought for their freedom. In South Africa, a brutal practice named apartheid was very popular in those days. To refer to the discrimination between people on the basis of their race and their color. It was one of the most brutal society in which dark-skinned people were deprived of their basic right. This lesson gives us an overview of the struggle of Mandela for making the society with no discrimination on the basis of their color, caste, race, age or gender. 10 May was a day when Nelson Mandela sworn in as the first black head of state, South Africa. It was after a year of struggle that his anti-party came into the power. Until then, the seat had always been occupied by the white presidents. That is why the author referred to the day as bright and clear. It was a morning full of hope. Days before this date, many notable personalities started congratulating him for his victory. For the first time in the country's history, so many international leaders came to their inauguration ceremony. The ceremony took place in an open circular building made of sandstone consisting of Union Building in the Pretoria city. The author was accompanied by his daughter Zenani on his big day. First, the two vice presidents took an oath. Then, when his turn came, he committed to respect, protect and abide by the constitution and to devote his entire self into the welfare of the country. The author also mentioned some part of his speech where he said that everyone, by his presence, was giving rise to hope for a new beginning. Previous rules were discriminating and lasting for a long, but the one who are given the opportunity to rule now would stand up against discrimination. He is glad to host a ceremony with the presence of global leaders. It is an achievement in itself. There was a time when South Africa, for practicing apartheid, lost all its international political relationships. Now, when there is no segregation on the basis of the race and gender, other nations are happy to have healthy democratic relationships. Finally, they have come to power and they pledge to make everyone proud. He thanked everyone, especially the international leaders, for joining them in celebrating their achievement, which is a step towards an equal society where every human will be treated fairly. He mentioned that after great struggle, they have finally achieved political freedom. His government promised to free everyone of the still existing poverty, hardship and inequality of all kinds, along with assuring everyone of a country where no community will be considered inferior. Then he exclaimed that freedom should rule and may God shower his blessing on their land. Just after the newly elected president's address to the audience, an impressive arrangement of fighters jet, helicopters and soldier transports raised everyone's head up in the sky. It symbolized perfection as well as military respects and obedience towards a free country. The high commanders who have won the medal for their bravery also saluted and promised their loyalty. Mandela mentions that he was well aware of these commanders who were now saluting him, would have arrested him under the previous rules of during the oppressive white supremacy. He was considered to be a criminal. The air show finally ended by making of the South African flag in the sky from smoke beneath the jet. The author remembers the day as a planning of two national anthems of the country, one of the white and other that of blacks. On that day, no one knew the wording of the anthem of black, but Mandela was confident that everyone would soon learn this anthem that they once hated. On the day of inaugural ceremony, the author was remembering the day of the past when his whole system of apartheid emerged. It resulted in equality and inferior treatment of the dark-skinned people. They were deprived of the basic fundamental rights. As a result, one of the world's most brutal and inhuman society was born. This began even before he was born. The system created an atmosphere of extreme cruelty and injustice for the particular part of the community. Now, when he is in his 8th decade as a man, he along with countless others have changed the entire system that treats humans as humans irrespective of their color, caste, gender or age. This equal and free country was a result of sacrifice of countless other men and women who have fought all their life for this day. The author wishes if he could thank them all, but unfortunately they didn't live to see the result of their courage. Nelson Mandela gathered his courage and power from all these people and thus wishes to make them proud. The oppression policy scared many people and it will take a long time for them to move on. The author mentions that this hard time had its negative impacts, but it also exposed a lot of strong and courageous men who stood up and raised their voice. Thus, it required that level of unjust treatment to produce such great heroes. South Africa, he says, is rich in mineral and germs, but its greatest strength lies in its people. Nelson Mandela gained his strength to stand against the wrong from all the great nationalists he mentioned above, who have even risked their life for the freedom and tolerated ill treatment, but never stopped fighting. He learned that courage did not mean the absence of fear, but the ability to overcome fear. The man who overcomes his fear is called brave. One is taught by its society to hate humans because of their skin color, age, gender and religion. No one is inborn with hatred. The author's idea is that if people can be taught hatred, they can also be taught love and brotherhood. In their most testing times in prison, when they were being treated brutally, Mandela would see a pinch of humanity and kindness in one of the guards, and that was enough to keep him going. He believes that goodness in human being can be suppressed by never eliminated. According to the author, every human being has its responsibility towards the family as well as the society. Generally, under normal circumstances, a person can maintain the balance between the two, but in countries like South Africa, it was never so easy. When a person of color came up for his society, he would be arrested and taken away from his family, thus keeping them from fulfilling both responsibilities. In the beginning, Mandela did not put his people over his family, but it was only later when he realized that in order to be there for his people, he was compromising his duties towards his own families. The author did not have the plan to stand against the apartheid system early in life. He lived his childhood like any normal child in South Africa. He had only to follow the rule set up by his father or the custom of his tribe. As soon as he grew up and began to learn the fact as to how people of color are treated, he decided to stand against it. He had the urge of freedom from inside, earlier just for himself, and later for having the basic life not just for himself but for everyone. In Johannesburg, he had to struggle for having a peaceful marriage, family, and basic amenities which everyone has access to where law and order exist. Nelson Mandela joined the African National Congress, that means ANC, African National Congress, when he realized it is not only him whose basic rights were snatched away, but of all those who look like him. He had his fire inside him to free his people from injustice. It was this fire that changed the author completely as a man. From being scared to brave, a lawyer to the one breaking the law, a family man to a man without a home, and a lively man into being a monk. It was the knowledge that he and his people have restricted freedom that made him into the selfless man as opposed to before. According to him, freedom cannot be divided. Snatching it away from some was equivalent to taking it away from everyone, and that means taking it away from the author. He mentioned that the need to free the oppressor is as high as that of the oppressed because the oppressor is bounded by the shackles of hatred. He has the weight of all the people who he has tormented. For the curses of all their families. For taking away someone else's freedom and making them a prisoner, he became a prisoner of baseness. Thus, he is robbed of his humanity and need to be free.